lime, or West Indian's become its common name, compared to the standard lime, is usually picked when it's green, will ripen to yellow, but it's only got a shelf life of about 4 days once it's ripe. But the main one I was going to start with was actually pomelo. It's another citrus. This particular one is a seedless white variety.
Oh, looks like a grapefruit.
So people look at it and say, oh yeah, just like grapefruit. Nah. Nah. Really thick skin is characteristic of the pomelo group. Really tough and fibrous. So you actually peel the segment. Peel it back on itself, and you'll find you can actually break the flesh clear without getting into a wet, sticky mess.
Is it very similar to the durian, or they're completely different?
No, it's completely different. Flavour as well. So you can see there's hundreds of these little segments attached to a central core. Each one of these has got a big seed in the middle, and they're edible as well. So you can just put them in boiling water or an oven and cook them for 10 or 15 minutes. From there I thought I'd do a papaya. This one is self-pollinated. So if you put a paper bag on it, it forces it to self-pollinate within the one flower, and the genes in the seed are more likely to be identical to that of the parent. So you can collect and save the seed for the next generation of fruit, knowing that the flavour is going to be the same as the good parent one you chose.
Do you want to grab those seeds for me, though?
Can eat the whole thing, skin and all. Skin's a bit dry and papery, you may not want it.
No, I want to say a favourite. It's got a really nice taste to it.
Is related to this one. It's the same genus, but it's never grown commercially as far as I gather. But you occasionally see it travelling in Indonesia. It'll be a poor family who's collected them out of the jungle and brought them to sell on the road. Months from flowering to picking. Wow. The trees flower every 6 months. So there are 3 generations of fruit, all on the tree at the same time. And the 2 latest generations look the same. And what you're looking for is the colour. They're picked rock hard, they ripen up to a week after picking and go soft. This one is Star Apple. It's actually another one of the sapote group. It should have been called Star Sapote, but the English found it first. And they just called everything apple. Jaboticaba is not actually in the fruit bowl. They're in season for 1 week, 3 times a year. We've had 2 crops so far this year. We're waiting on the flowering for the 3rd crop. The dry weather means that it may not happen. But when they're in season, just on the poster, just above your head, this one? Yeah, that's the Jaboticaba on the tree. So they're all growing on the trunk and the main branches.
I think I've seen that.
The fruit can cover all the wood.
Is it the one that goes really dark purple?
Really black,
Yeah.
dark purple to black when they're ready to eat. They're still red in that
Yeah, they're
photo.
not. They're
you
not.
can see a black one on the right hand side. And the first couple of crops, that's really annoying because you can only pick the black ones and you're squeezing around inside this tree trying to pick the black ones without disturbing the green and the red ones. The last crop of the year, the tree will be covered in fruit. It's the heaviest crop. They'll all go right together, and you can just run your hand down each branch and knock them all off onto a tarpaulin on the ground, and then pour them into buckets. So this is the second crop. We have them, pour them into bags and leave them in the freezer. And then we discovered that they're better to eat frozen than fresh because they soften, they tenderise. These are mostly frozen. They're just like frozen cherries or grapes. You can have the balance challenge. You discover the skin is like a little piece of plastic and doesn't chew up.
Just pass it on for
You
me.
can spit the skin out separately. And there'll be one or two seeds. You just sort of swallow them or crush them. It's a sour sop. Really sad name for a fruit. It's sour sop. Sop is a West Indian word meaning wet cotton wool. No. This is a custard apple. Typical custard apple structure with the central core that comes away, white flesh and black seeds floating loose. But instead of being full of custard like a normal custard apple should be, this is full of sop. Really fibrous, chewy, and
Beautiful stuff.
it's also the juiciest fruit on the tasting today. It's also used as an alternative to chemotherapy as cancer cure through Indonesia. It's got a lot of folk history backing for soursop and its products against cancers. I don't know whether it works or not, but we get bombarded with requests for soursop or its products. Like this stuff, this is called sweet leaf out of Borneo.
That's
It's been
beautiful.
fairly heavily browsed over the last couple of months. So, but if you can find a nice young tip like that one, you can just break off the growing point and throw it in a salad. They're really sweet and nutty, like peas or beans. The old leaves, you can strip, steam them a little bit, and serve like spinach. I've had a bit of a haircut. It's the star fruit, that's that 5-corner. It's just flowering for another crop. We've had a couple of crops off it already, but this one was such a big tree, as you can see from the trunk, the stump. It got badly damaged in a cyclone 2.5 years ago, so I just cut it down. What you're seeing is the regrowth on a bare stump after 2.5 years.
Jeez.
Within a month of the rain, this will be a green carpet of new growth coming up from those root stumps left from last year. Bright yellow,
Is that turmeric?
this is turmeric.
Yeah.
Spicy yellow,
Beautiful.
colour. Interesting plants is what you're walking on through here. This is all peanuts. Stops the weeds around the trees. And it's making peanuts under the ground, which are left to rot, feeding the ground with nitrogen. So it's a legume. This is the essential component of permaculture, self-sustaining agriculture system, producing food, minimum input from me.
Good.
They're edible, but they taste like wet paper. So these are purple mangosteen on the left. Sadly, we're losing those trees. And they've still got some growing to do. You can see it's not even. It will inflate till it's all round. This is one of the least friendly plants we grow. This is native to Bali. Very, very unfriendly.
Oh, the waiter-wall.
It's another palm species, but it's certainly related to Paedowa. This is the flower spikes. So we've just finished a prune, which is all the rubbish, to expose the flowers and put them out in the sun, so that when they open, we can actually get to the fruit.
Oh, they get fruit.
Each one of these will be a 2 kilo bunch of fruit.